Hello there. This is Oral Ofori. Welcome to today's special edition of the African Dream, your favorite human interest chat show. Today we have for our very special guest, Kojo Asamoa-Caesar, Ghanaian-American entrepreneur, lawyer, businessman, and for this particular purpose, a politician. Kojo, welcome to the show and good to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Oral. Looking forward to our chat.
You must be excited and tired and all the same, fired up from all the electioneering. But let me begin by saying congratulations on daring to contest as a Black man in the 2020 United States elections as a congressional Democrat in Oklahoma, of all places. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk
so
a little bit about your candidature and its significance.
It was interesting. It was awesome and exciting, and we learned so much. We met so many awesome people. Was able to gain a lot of traction with people that you wouldn't think, right? And it was significant because I was the first Black candidate to win the nomination in this district. I was the first resident of North Tulsa, which is the location of historic Black Wall Street here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and first Ghanaian-American to ever receive a major party nomination for federal office, right? And so it was a historic run in that way. And, we ended with receiving 109,455 votes,
wow.
which is the most votes a Democratic candidate in our district has received since 1984. Right, so it's pretty significant. Now we lost, right? We lost, so I have to acknowledge that because we were not in this just to, get a whole lot of votes. We were in this to win, right? And in that, by that measure, we didn't accomplish our goal. We lost, and you have to acknowledge that.
Right.
But you can also celebrate some of the wins, even though you lost. Right?
It's a winning mentality that, provides light at the end of the tunnel. Now, despite the significances you have mentioned, can you zero in on what you feel personally mostly drew people towards your candidature?
I think far and above, it's two main things. One, I was very genuine and authentic, all right? I spoke my truth. I shared my story and my values. I didn't come off as fake, right? I didn't pretend to be something that I wasn't.
Right.
And I think people are drawn to that. People are drawn to authenticity, and there's too many fakers and pretenders in our politics nowadays, and people are hungering for the real deal, right? So there was that. People are also hungering for leaders that are gonna seek to bring us together, right? And so our campaign slogan was Bridge the Divide, and that's the message we really sought to drive home. And it really resonated with a lot of people because in a time where our country seems so dangerously divided, and we have leaders who seem to, get off on pitting one group against another group and demonizing groups and scapegoating other groups. People are looking for leaders who are going to do the opposite and try to find our common and shared humanity and celebrate our differences instead of using our differences to drive us apart.
Right. Who are some of the people who you would love to thank that play diverse roles in your campaign, especially those that the public might not be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, campaigns are not about one individual, and the candidate gets all the headlines, but there are a whole lot of people behind the scenes that are helping to make this possible. I mean, first and foremost is your family, right? So my wife and then my 7-month-old baby girl, Hadessa, she was the true MVP of the campaign.
Nice.
Everywhere I go, people ask about how she's doing. And then just, extended family. So my family back in Ghana, right, who are always sending me messages of encouragement, praying for me, right, cheering me on when I'm down.
Right.
So they're also unsung heroes, right? People like you, in the Ghana diaspora, Mr. CNN, and a whole lot of other people, Sonny, who are, you know, behind the scenes in the Ghanaian-American community, pushing the message, getting as many people as possible to support, and get their family and friends to support. And then, you know, we had there was a Ghana diaspora PAC, right, public affairs committee that was also very instrumental, right, in providing support. And then here in Oklahoma, I mean, we had my campaign team, we had 8 paid staff, we had a whole lot of volunteers, canvassers, organizations like Blue Moms of Owasso and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense, you know, so a lot of different groups and a lot of different individuals. I actually made a post thanking a lot of them, but I want to send a message that this is a group effort, it's a community effort, and, you know, it takes a whole lot of people coming together to make this possible.
Well, thank you. I'm sure all those you mentioned would very much appreciate your acknowledgement. It's my personal take is the fact that you didn't give credit to the 7-month-old baby. Everyone counts so long as they're breathing. So that's cool to notice. Hopefully she grows to become someone amazing like her dad. Now, you had mentioned earlier on that you received over 109,000. That's 109.4K votes, the largest any Democrat candidate has ever received in a congressional race in Oklahoma's 1st district since 1984. That's truly historic. What do you think, you know, accounted for the large voter participation, and how do you intend to build on that positivity moving forward, given all that huge numbers? Obviously, people have come to that recognition of your presence in Oklahoma and probably in all of the U.S.
I think, you know, somebody actually told me the other day, you got that many votes in a year of a pandemic, all right? So imagine how many more votes you can get in a normal election year, right?
When people are not scared of, you know, any COVID.
Well, yeah, right. The thing is, unfortunately, Republicans, right, have not taken the COVID virus as seriously as Democrats have, right? And so Democrats actually participated more in early voting and mail-in voting and more than Republicans. And I think the pandemic actually kept more Democrats at home than it did Republicans, right? So I think we can even do a whole lot better on that number in a year where we're not going through a pandemic.
Right.
But like, yeah, definitely there was a lot of great interest in politics and our election this year, being a presidential election year, being a time of a pandemic that we feel has been badly mishandled. We have over 240,000 people who have died unnecessarily in this country due to our elected officials not handling this pandemic in the right way. And then I think, yeah, having a candidate who was, you know, exciting and dynamic and speaking truth to people and really talking about our shared and common humanity, right? Just being a candidate who was a human being, right? Who was a father, who was a husband, you know, who was a son, who was an immigrant, and sharing their American dream story and trying to bring us together. I think all those things contributed, and we need more of that in our politics. And we'll keep going. What I said after the race was, you know, I'm here to stay, right? And I plan to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come. So
reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. The governor.
Right. And I'll just say this, right? I think when you look at our supporters and you look at social media, like the fervor and enthusiasm with which they support our candidacy is real, right? The messages I've gotten is, Kojo, you got to come back, right? You can't just go away. We want to hear from you. We want you to run again for either this office or another office, right? And so I can make that. I'm not going to be one of those coy politicians who pretends I'm not going to run again. I am going to run again. You're going to see my name on the ballot again. I don't know for which office, but
Right.
there will come a moment. There will come a moment that demands a messenger with a message that I'm well suited to deliver. And when that call comes, I'll answer.
It's interesting, the commitment and desire you have for a return, and it's definitely good for you to be in that frame of mind, and for people especially that supported you. Over 109,000 of them came out to vote, whether personally out there physically or through mail-in ballots. You even have probably 2 or 3 more times supporters around the country and in the diaspora and all that. It must put a lot of pressure on you as a person. Now, let's get a little personal and tell us how the whole electioneering and campaigning thing has affected your family. I'm sure things might have changed in one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, that's the untold story of, this work and journey, right? Is that it does take a toll on your family.
Right.
I announced November 5th of 2019, and so it was a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran this campaign on a full-time basis. So you are, relinquishing a salary to run for office, right? So that is a sacrifice you have to make. You're spending a lot of time engaging with people in this campaign. So that's time taken away from your family.
Right.
And then in the year that we actually had our daughter, all right? And so you have a little one at home as well, that you're trying to balance, fatherhood and running for office. And then you have to be a husband, right? And,
Right.
Being a husband is not easy work, right? As many know, like you have to commit time to that. And so I'm looking forward to taking some time off and being a husband and being a father, right? And prioritizing those things
Right.
once again in my life, so that, because, politics will come and go. All these other things will come and go, but like your family is there with you. That's who's going to be there, right? And all this stuff leaves. And so you don't want to mess that up. That is number one priority for me, and to ensure that I take care of home first.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know. It's good to know, and hopefully the 7-month-old will get to spend more time with you.
The silver lining with all this, right, as sad as it is to not win and not be headed to Washington,
right.
Losing means that I get to stay home and see my daughter grow up, and I get to see her take her first steps and get to hear her utter her first words. Hopefully it's going to be Dada, right? And so I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. They grow so quick, so enjoy it while it lasts, because it's very fleeting. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your opponent. Tell us just a little bit about him, and if there was a few words you could tell him, what would they be?
Yeah, my opponent's name is Kevin Hern. He's now going to be a 2-term congressman, and he is a businessman, independently wealthy, and I hats off to him for winning the race and getting as many votes as he got. I think he got 213,000 votes, and because the turnout was so high, I think he got the most votes that any Republican has gotten in that race before. So hats off to him. I'd like to say congratulations. We actually talked on election night, and we agreed to, after the election is over, and the presidential election is over and all those votes are counted, to sit down and have coffee.
So you did make
talk
that
about
call.
the issues. Yeah, I did make that call. I'm a professional, and so you have to, my message was bridge the divide, and so I'm still committed to that. And so my message to him would be, hey, I think there are people in our district hungering for us to come together, right? And so I want him to be the kind of leader that actually works hard to bring people together rather than dividing us.
Now let's look at President-elect Joe Biden. People say he has a tall order. He's stepping in with, first of all, the incumbent even refusing to admit the results of the election, let alone acknowledge the fact that there's been a president-elect. What would be your advice in a nutshell, if you had any?
Yeah, I mean, I don't presume to have advice for Joe Biden, right? He
Right.
just won a presidential election. I don't think he needs any advice from me. But if I may, I would say, right, be the decent guy that you are, right? And I know he's going to try to work to bring our country together, and so that is who he is, right? So I don't have to give him any advice on bringing us together. But I think what I would advise him to do is to go back and read FDR, right? Because I think that's what we need in this moment. We need a Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a strong leader who comes to power in a time of great crisis, in a time of great pain, and is bold and courageous, right? And innovative and creative. And so I don't want him to be scared to be a strong leader. You can be strong and advocate for your values and bring people together, right? You don't have to compromise your values in service of bringing people together, right? And I always say, there's a quote says, I would rather be divided by truth than united in error, right? And so let's not fall into the trap of thinking that unity is the highest value and that we can, give too much just so that we can all come together. Because you don't want to build a bridge, right, on faulty material. You want to build a bridge on strong foundation of truth and values. And so that would be my advice to him. Be bold and go for it, right? Go for it and advocate on behalf of the people and on behalf of human beings, and fight for us, right? Fight for us while trying to bring us together.
Great. That's a great thing to, share. And it'll be unfair to your 7-month-old daughter if we don't have you speak to the historical achievement of Kamala Harris.
You see these memes that talk about the vice president looks like me, right? And it's, young girls being able to say that for the first time ever, right? And you see, right, the emojis of all the vice presidents we've had in our country. I think 47 or 48 of them, right. And it's all right white men. And now you see a black woman, right, in that number. So that's so inspirational. I can just turn the TV on and point to the screen and tell Hadessa, hey, look, she did it, so you can do it, right? So that's so awesome and so amazing, and Black girl magic. And so I'm excited to have her be in that position, and the kind of inspiration she's going to bring to girls all over the country and all over the world.
Lessons learned, especially for you personally, and then for your campaign crew. What would be done differently next time, irrespective of whatever position or office you're running for?
No, that's a good question. We're still processing everything and digging through the numbers and trying to understand, right, where our theory of the case was wrong and then where it was right, right? But I think some of the things that we have to definitely take to heart is that I think partisanship, especially in Oklahoma, is very, very strong here, right? There were a lot of people who were like, hey, Kojo, I like you. You seem like a good guy, but you're a Democrat, and I'm never voting for a Democrat ever again, right? And so there's something deep there that we have to speak to, right? And that even when they think a candidate is a good person, they're just not going to vote for him because he's a Democrat. So that we have to find a way to address. I think we also have to talk about, when I come forth with policies that are seeking to make investments in people, unfortunately, a lot of people see that as socialists, right? And so when I say, let's have universal pre-K, let's make sure that every kid, including my daughter, has access to pre-kindergarten, right? Because it's essential to the brain development of children. Right. People say, oh, that's socialist, right? When I say let's pay our teachers well so we can attract great teachers and not lose our best and brightest teachers. Oh, that's socialist, right? So we have to have a real conversation about what socialism really is and what the responsibilities of our government to make investments in people in our communities to help our economy grow, right? What that really means in the capitalist system. And so I think we have to spend a lot more time educating people on that.
Right.
Yeah, and so those are kind of two things, immediately that I can point to that we probably could have done better.
It's interesting how you put it, and the fact that this country for decades and decades continue to get more and more polarized is very evident, and we're just thankful for people like you and the squad and all those amazing male and female politicians and transgender people who are contributing their quota to make sure that we break that polarization. It'll be a hard battle to win, but at least the fight has begun, and hopefully down the line we'll see some positivity coming out from that fight. Let's go back to your homeland of Ghana in West Africa. There's an election coming on, a presidential election. Based on your personal experience and what we've seen happen here in the US, as there's been this somewhat eerie trend where the US election ends up mirroring how things happen with the Ghana election. What advice do you have for both contesting, parties, whether presidential or parliamentary or whatever, and the electorates themselves?
Well, first advice is, if you lose, concede. It's okay to concede. It's okay to make that call. Follow my example. Don't follow Donald Trump's example. It's okay to make that phone call and concede and admit that you lost, because the position is bigger than you, right? It's bigger than any one person. And if we want to advance our democracy and ensure that there's trust in our institutions, then leaders have to be committed to doing that, right? And put the interests of the country before party or self. So that's the advice I would have for them. And also, we can disagree without being disagreeable, right? And so, as David Chappelle said on Saturday Night Live after the election, it's okay to be a humble winner. You don't have to gloat and rub it in, right? The people have given you high honor and responsibility, and now you got to get to work in service of the people, right? And if you do that, then our democracy has a chance to, fight another day.
Right. Thank you so much for making the time to speak with us. We appreciate your efforts. We appreciate your example, and we want to say just keep doing what you do. And a lot of people are looking up to you, but I'm sure you're also, looking for ways and opportunities you can be of service to the people. What is next for Kojo Asamoa-Caesar?
I know, $1,000 question or $1 million question, I guess. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And for me, it's always been purpose over position, right? And so what I have to do is kind of go back to the drawing board, reread my purpose statement and mission statement, and find other ways of being able to enact that, right? I thought I was going to be able to enact it through political office, and that wasn't the case. But I am committed to that mission. And so I'm going to see what opportunities are out there and how I continue to do that work moving forward. So I'll let you know once my contract is complete.
Nice. Thank you for joining us, folks watching. You can follow and connect with Kojo Asamoa-Caesar. His social media pages are on the screen. Connect with him. And we look forward to seeing what's next with him, and take that vacation, get that rest, spend that time with family.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Oral. Appreciate you.
Pleasure.